so this is really exciting. My name is Emily Hillman. I am a Senior Innovation Advisor at USAID in the Center for Innovation and Impact within the Bureau for Global Health. And I'm really thrilled to be here this morning speaking to you about catalyzing innovation. So at a glance, in the center, we funded over 150 innovations, 25 of which are transitioning to scale. And we've collaborated on projects in over 40 countries, and together with our partners, we're striving to save millions of lives. So I just want to share a small story about me and why I am a believer in innovation. So when I was in graduate school, I worked as an intern on social behavior change for child survival in Asosa, Ethiopia, with host communities bordering the refugee camps. This was a really hard experience for me as a woman, as a non-Amharic or Rutana speaker, and working on an area where communication is really imperative. But fortunately, the organization I worked for operated in English, so I focused my attention on jointly co-developing novel and innovative internal operations and processes. It's a really glamorous work, I know, but it made a difference. So let me now turn to the global stage. So significant progress has been made, but we really have a long way to go to meet our 2030 SDGs. Accelerated progress is needed. As we've heard, there's a $134 billion annual financing gap to achieve the health-related SDGs by 2030. And our current progress on SDG 5, gender equality, is an E. Also of note, 46 of 46 countries in sub-Saharan Africa have moved farther away from achieving SDG 6 on the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation. So in short, business as usual, it's not going to cut it. So we need to think about innovation as part of the larger puzzle to achieve these ambitious SDG goals. Now, innovation is high on the global agendas, but truthfully, it's a bit of a buzzword. So I just wanted to define what we mean here by innovation. So it's the pursuit of a novel business or organizational model, operational or production process, or product or service that leads to substantial improvements in addressing development challenges. So further honing in, I'd like to talk a bit more about open innovation and what we mean here. So open innovation is the use of purposive inflows and outflows of knowledge to accelerate internal innovation and expand the markets for external use of innovation, respectively. So incremental innovation, or what we call improving the known, is where we spend the majority of our efforts, and this is 70 to 90% of our innovation efforts involve iteration or improving existing programs. So this is more low risk and more easily implemented. Next, I'd like to focus on the transformational or inventing the new. And this is where we spend 10 to 30% of our innovation efforts. And this pertains to entirely new products, services, and business models that involve the creation of entirely new models and reaching previously unreached communities. Again, this is more high risk and involves new capabilities. So at USAID, we believe in the open innovation spirit, and we use a variety of novel approaches, from grand challenges to prizes, to source solutions for seemingly intractable health challenges. So taking Saving Lives at Birth Grand Challenge as a case study, this is our flagship initiative. And this Saving Lives at Birth calls on the brightest minds from all around the globe to identify and scale groundbreaking approaches to save the lives of mothers and newborns in poor, hard-to-reach communities. So the Saving Lives at Birth partners, USAID, the government of Norway, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Grand Challenges Canada, UK's Department of International Development, and the Korean International Cooperation Agency have come together to support the scale-up of innovative tools and approaches. And the Saving Lives at Birth does support innovations that tackle the majority of causes of neonatal and maternal deaths. And to date, we've supported 120 innovations with the potential to save 150,000 lives by 2030. We've also received over 4,000 applications, over 8 rounds, 8 calls of applications from all around the world. So now let me start by saying that, that there is no magic silver bullet. Fully acknowledge that. No one innovation is entirely the answer. However, they can serve as an important component to a comprehensive solution. So here are just a few examples of the innovations that we funded. So Bempu received funding for a hypothermia alert device bracelet, and it actually was named in Time Magazine's 25 Best Inventions of 2017. Mbarara University in Uganda received funds for the Augmented Infant Resuscitator, which enables effective ventilation for newborn babies. EggPath is introducing and scaling up the Pratt pouch, which is like a ketchup packet, in antenatal care services throughout Uganda to reduce mother-to-child transmission of HIV. And then finally, we've supported Monash University to develop inhaled oxytocin. And actually, we've supported some qualitative research to understand the barriers to use, as well as business plans and a country prioritization exercise. Let me do a deep dive in another innovation, which tackles newborn jaundice. So InMed is filling gaps at each of these touch points in jaundice management through a comprehensive package of screening through a jaundice ruler, a quantitative diagnostic called the Billy Stick, and a phototherapy treatment, which is the Billy Hut. And actually, interesting, all of these innovations were previously independently developed and supported through Saving Lives at Birth, and now they've come together for a more holistic approach to jaundice management. Now, I'd like to focus on Rice University, which is tackling respiratory distress through the bubble continuous positive airway pressure. And here's a short video. Is there sound?
There are a lot of jobs that I could have chosen, but I chose this nursing job because I feel life is valuable. It's heartbreaking to not have the equipment that you can use on a baby to survive.
Nditamuona Joshua pamene anabadwa komanso amavutika kupuma. Ine ndinali ndi mantha kwambiri.
RDS stands for Respiratory Distress Syndrome, and this is a condition that preterm babies usually develop because their lungs are not fully developed.
In communities where they don't have access to good health care, the baby is born with respiratory distress, prone to die.
Kukayika kumakhala apapo mwachidule ndinganene kuti kuthupi eti kukayika kumakhalapo koma kuuzimu timatha kukhulupirirabe kuti Joshua abe atha kupitirira ndi moyo.
There are a lot of innovative ideas to improve maternal and child health around the world. But without support from programs such as Saving Lives at Birth, these ideas will never become a reality. Our team set out to develop a more affordable and portable CPAP device, which would be just as good as the versions used in the developed world.
The Pumani CPAP helps the baby to breathe by keeping the lungs open. It's really helping us out because where we didn't have hope, now we have a hope.
Fopa machini panakhalapo mwezi wa mtundu. Komanso pano kenako kunayamba pano kumasonyeza ngati bola.
Without funding from programs such as Saving Lives at Birth, the Pumani BCPAP device would probably still just be a student project and not the life-saving technology that it is today.
So I think what's really fascinating about Rice's bubble CPAP journey is that we see an accelerated and deliberate timeline for just 8 years from the initial idea to trials to validation to actual impact in Malawi. And so now with 800 devices in use and thousands of babies treated, this innovation is supporting really, really cool health gains. So now I'd like to just share a couple lessons learned through open innovation. And so I want to reiterate some points that have been made by other speakers to ensure that we're starting with the identified problem and the challenge as identified by those that we're trying to work with, and not starting with what we think is the solution. And relatedly, we do see a disconnect between the laboratory science and the field. And we really need to ensure that the solutions are fitting with the local market, and that they're affordable and meet the needs and preferences of the targeted market. I do want to say on the positive side, open innovation has proven to bring in unique ideas with multidisciplinary perspective from all around the world. But let's acknowledge the financial support, it's frankly always insufficient. We need to be thinking about other types of support. We need to be thinking about how we can support and engage the promising ideas that maybe don't make it into our Grand Challenge portfolio. And then also when the innovations that we have supported exit our portfolio, how are we supporting them to reach that scale and impact that we're striving for? I'd also like to note that ideas are plentiful. There are a lot of really fantastic ideas, and I've heard some of them in the past few days. But going to market is hard. And a lot of these innovations with potential have really struggled to take off. And this suggests that we need to be thinking about business model, skill sets of the team, and a whole variety of country context factors as we think about their journey for it to impact. And finally, just to remember, it does take 30 to 40 years, typically in our research, to scale a product in global health markets. And the Grand Challenge platform is one potential approach to supporting innovations to dramatically reduce the time. So let's just turn back to our SDG goals. So taking maternal mortality as an example, if trends continue, we'll see an annual rate of reduction of 1.9% a year. But to reach the SDG global target, we need a 7.3 annual reduction rate. And this drastic decline calls for large acceleration efforts. So in conclusion, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So let's appreciate that innovation can serve as a healthy complement to traditional investments. And in the grand scheme of maternal and newborn health, as an example, our support is small. So let's think about how we can use catalytic innovation to disrupt the status quo and help change the trajectory in a positive way. Thank you so much.